Let's look back at Zach Collins' season.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Zach Aguilar, the voice of Tanjiro Kamado, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kens 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hey, hope everybody's having themselves a great day. As always, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube and on the Kens 5 Plus app. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. What are we talking about today? Well, we're going to be continuing our player focus and shifting now to Zach Collins. How did he look last season? What could his future hold in San Antonio? And we'll give out a letter grade for his play for the 2022-23 season. And we're going to get into some memorabilia talk about 5-0. And I heard my guest, Vinny Vinzetta of Kens 5 TV, is going to perhaps pony up for some of these items, I hope. Knocking on wood. Welcome back, Vinny.
I think I'd need to bulk up for the shoe size and the jersey size, but that could be accomplished with some bad dieting on my part. So I'll get back to you.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that shortly, and let's just say it's probably just going to be a pipe dream for me to ever own these items. We'll definitely talk about that later on in the show. Vinny, welcome back. How are you doing, buddy? Again, glad to have you back.
Hey, we're counting down to lottery pick'em night. So we're getting closer day by day to seeing where our San Antonio Spurs land and if the odds could possibly land in their favor for the big prize. So just sort of patiently counting down those days.
Well, we're definitely going to be talking about a Wemby in segment 2 when it comes to Zach Collins and his current and possible future in San Antonio. So let's dive into it. Let's put into focus Zach Collins. And not a bad season for Collins. The biggest thing is that he remained relatively healthy, which is probably the biggest hurdle for him in his NBA career. But outside of that obvious thing that he just stayed healthy, you really saw him come into his own late in the season. I really liked how he closed out last season, Vinny.
There's no question. Got to feel so happy for a guy like Zach Collins, as you mentioned, after all he had been through. I mean, and at such a young age, too. I mean, he'd been through so many injury issues, but the good news about that is he's still young and still has so much professional basketball out in front of him. And I'm with you. He kind of grabbed the bull by the horns and took control out there and was extending his game and shooting threes. And when I think of Zach Collins, he just plays, forgive my language, he just plays kind of pissed off. And I love that about him. You know, he's not out there to exchange Christmas cards and make friends. He's got an attitude and a chip and I just love watching him play. Really plays hard, leaves it out there. And I think that's a product of, after all he's been through, he knows that, you know, as a professional athlete, in the end, you've got a small window to have your measure of success and to get contracts. So I think he goes hard after it every night. Just really appreciate his effort. And he's one of our go-to interviews at practice every day. He's really honest, actually, in interviews. It's refreshing to hear him talk honestly about how they played, where they are, and what they need to do. And so big fan of Zach Collins. And, you know, as we've mentioned many times, nobody is safe on this roster, very likely, the vast majority anyway, moving forward. But I hope he's one of the guys that stays around the Alamo City.
He averaged about 11.6 points per game, his career high. 11.6 and 22 minutes per game. Again, a career high for him. Just said career highs a lot. Obviously, that goes hand in hand with being healthy. And I think we forget this too, Vinny. He was a lottery pick. He was number 10 overall when he was drafted by the Kings. I think it was back in, 2017? So, yeah, he was a top 10 pick. So he at least last season, he started to look like a top 10 pick. You know, the Spurs talk about rebuilding. They got themselves right there, an instant top 10 pick for their rebuild moving forward. You look at Zach Collins, and you mentioned, you know, how he plays pissed off. So when the Spurs announced that they signed him, and remember they put him in that the G League path for a little while, for a couple of weeks. I had a chance to talk to him while he was with Austin, and I remember Vinny. He played a game where he picked up, like technicals left and right, to the point where he kicked the ball into the stanchion one time, and then one time he started cussing up a storm. Now, mind you, this was not in one game. This is kind of throughout his time with Austin. So I had a chance to talk to the Austin head coach, and I asked him, I go like, so Zach, yeah, is really fired up, isn't he? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I love that about him. He brings that edge to our roster. Now, then I got a chance to talk to Zach, and I asked Zach, I go, what's all that about? What you doing out there? And he told me that almost all the time, Vinny, anytime he's upset to that point, it's really about him. He said, I'm upset because I didn't do this play right. I'm upset because some guy beat me off the dribble, and I didn't like that. And I'm going to start chirping, and then that's how it starts. So he really reflects on himself. And if he personally doesn't play well, Vinny, he lets it out there. And you mentioned, that pissed off play. Even Popovich says that's what he loves about Zach, that nastiness that he plays on the court, Vinny.
I can totally appreciate that edge all day long. And he is very hard on himself. And then I'll extend it just a little bit further. Maybe that's the guy that takes that edge role that can make this team, regardless of who we land in the lottery and who we sign this free agent off season. Maybe he's that edge guy that just makes everybody play with that extra oomph and have a little bit of an attitude out. So he's worth keeping around. I mean, I know sometimes players, because of acquisitions, obviously get lost in the mix and can find their way to the end of the bench. But he's playing, and he played late in the season. You're right. Great point by you. He played late in the season like he wants to be a guy that does not get lost at all.
One thing I thought that was underrated and didn't get really noticed was that he's a pretty good passer. He averaged nearly 3 assists per game last season in 63 games played, specifically about 2.8. So I like that he has that ability to share the ball, pass out of the post, find a cutter, find an open man. I think that's going to be great for the Spurs moving forward. But let's talk about what today's NBA is all about, and that's 3-point shooting. Did we see that he has that ability? It looks like he has that stretch big /5 in him. I think the Spurs definitely can use that moving forward, Vinny.
I saw it. I saw it. I loved it. I mean, he wasn't afraid. I mean, if running that high pick and roll, and he pops out there, and if he sees it and he likes it, he's taking it. I definitely saw it. I hope he keeps taking it. I'm trying to scrum through his numbers here. It looks like for the season he shot 37% from three. I mean, that's good. So I love that he has range beyond the paint area. So keep taking them, Zach. You're making them.
Exactly. He had 9 double-doubles on the season. I thought that was pretty good as well. And you look at some of the advanced numbers, effective field goal shooting about 45%. You look at his defensive rating, 107.6 in today's NBA. That's a miracle. But all in all, you look at what he's done on the court, just really, really well. And also this too. If anything that really stands out for me is that I think Pop hit it on the head when we were talking about the nastiness and playing. You mentioned playing pissed off, because there's some times where I think this team doesn't have enough nastiness in them. And sure, there are a bunch of kids. The majority of them were teenagers, and they're playing against men. But it extended beyond him. We saw Sohan get in dust ups a couple of times, and who was right there? Zach Collins. We saw a couple of times where Zach Collins stuck up for his players. We saw sometimes where he even chirped at the refs. I think this team could use a dose of that moving forward. Just don't get, to big old fisticuff Spurs. But Vinny, I want to ask you though, you know what? I want you to hang on to this thought before we're going to break. How much does his role or future in San Antonio change if the Spurs do get the number 1 pick and get Wembanyama? Right here on Locked On Spurs with my colleague, Vinny Vinzetta. You want to make sure to follow him on Twitter at VVINZETTA. Make sure you do that right now. Hey, I want to talk to you about eBay Motors. Look, for a championship team, it's all about making sure a player is a perfect fit. It's the same when you come to your vehicle. Every part needs the right fit. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game. And when you shop on eBay Motors, and with its over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guarantee Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with my colleague over at Kent's 5 TV. He is Vinny Vinzetta. Hey, as always, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. You guys are the everydayers. And stick around for tomorrow's show. Should be a good one. All right, Vinny. So right before the break, I had asked you, it was Zach Collins. We know what he could do on the court. We went over some of the numbers, some of the intangibles. But how much does his role or future change if the Spurs get to pick Wembanyama, Vinny?
Well, I don't know that, Zach he's not a Tim Duncan mentor yet. I mean, Zach is just figuring out his own way. And it's great to see him have some measure of success. But when I look at the current roster, he's the best big man you have down there to work with somebody like Victor, who, of course, obviously is a stretch player, unlike anything we've seen in recent years. But I would like him to be around to kind of help Victor along the way, and this is the Spurs way, and this is what we do. And maybe Victor could help Zach as well. But I think I would like to see him be here to be alongside in some sort of role. Again, he's not a Hall of Fame mentor yet for Victor, but he's a guy I think that could help him along for sure.
Yeah, I think that as well as he can be the guy that will lighten the load. Remember when Tim Duncan came and who was there to take on the big boys? It was David Robinson. You can almost see something similar to that with Collins and Wembanyama if the Spurs are lucky enough to win the lottery. You would want Zach Collins to take the bulk of the beatings. And it's unfortunate because his history shows that he's injury prone, but I think Collins would more than happy to be taking on the beast in the NBA, whether it be Embiid or whoever the big joker, whoever it is in the paint, because Embiid physically is not there yet, and I think he'll likely play in a 4 spot versus the 5 spot. I mean, I think that would just wreak havoc for the rest of the NBA at that position. So I like that spot, but then he's also becomes expendable because then you would potentially have Wemby, Collins, Bassie, and I would Mamu right now. So yeah, but at the same time, of all those other three outside of Wemby, Collins is way heads above the rest in the other two. I think the Spurs keep him around. What do you think?
I agree, and that's why I said Zach is the best big man on the roster. I mean, with much respect to Charles Bassie, who I think can increase his game and do some more development. But yes, I like Zach before Charles and Mamu for sure. But you make a great point. I mean, Zach will not be afraid to dust it up and mix it up and throw some elbows and some chicken wings, as the great Sean Elliott would say. And he won't be afraid to get in there and mix it up at all. And let's remember too, Wembanyama has been playing professional select teams and international competition, so he's about to be invaded by an entirely different animal. So he's going to have to bulk up and muscle up and put on some pounds and sort of learn the NBA ways. So I think it is a perfect scenario to have a guy like Zach, from what we've seen of who he is, to be alongside the number 1 draft pick.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that'll just make sense. He came on in a good contract. There's perhaps some loyalty he feels. I know there's no loyalty in business, but I mean, the Spurs did give him a chance to come back, rehab, and produce as we saw last season. I look at just Zach Collins overall. He fits. He definitely fits, whether it be with the media, like you mentioned with you, and you're at the post-practice sessions, or with us after games. Really good on that aspect. Toughness, experience, a top 10 pick that's on the roster right now with San Antonio, coming into his own, played relatively free of injury last season. Nothing majors we saw early in his career in Portland. So all in all, I think Zach Collins did well last season. Hopefully he'll be here with the Spurs moving forward. You just don't know, Vinny, because you hit it on the head. As of right now, nobody's untouchable on this roster. That includes Zach Collins. But time to put you on the spot, Vinny. What's your grade for Zach Collins for last season?
Grade for Zach. Well, I was just thinking sort of in my mind as you were finishing your thought there about Collins. I like him a lot. I mean, I really do. I don't really have anything bad, and I try to live my life with positivity. But I don't have anything bad to say about Zach. So if you're going to put me on the spot, I'm going to throw out just for effort and attitude, and after all he's gone through, I'm going to throw out a B for Zach.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a B plus. I'm going to bump up a little bit.
Good. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there things that you are concerned about moving forward? Yeah, I think obviously injury free is the biggest one. That's the obvious one. But also, does his style play if Wemby is here? And maybe that might hit his numbers a bit because, if Wemby's here or even Scoot, touch is going to go to either one of those two guys. So, he's on the right path. I worry sometimes because that's what today's NBA is all about. Vinny, is these players will move if it means a chance at playoffs or winning a title. And would Zach pull that stunt? Hopefully not. But he probably thinking, well, I'm rehabbed, I'm good. You guys are in a rebuild. I can't waste my lean years here. If he goes that route. But yeah, he's just really he fits the system. He fits the Spurs mold. And if anything, I just really like that nastiness. That's what I really like. I really like that. And it reminds me of the time with Mario Ellie, to a certain degree, Dennis Rodman, Bruce Bowen, that toughness that the Spurs have lacked from players like that. So, yeah, I definitely like Zach Collins, giving him a B plus for last season. Hey, we're not done talking about your silver and black. When we get back, we're going to shift gears and find out if Vinny is willing to open his wallet and buy me a couple of Spurs / Team USA items. Hopefully Vinny has enough cash because, yeah, these things are expensive. Right here on Locked On Spurs with the Vinny Vinzetta. Hey, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Look, navigating life can be a little difficult. That's where BetterHelp comes in. Look, it's easy to get caught up in what everybody else needs from you and never take a moment to think about what you need from yourself. We spend most of our time giving, and that can leave us feeling stretched thin and burned out. Therapy can come and give you the tools you need to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give Better Try a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suitable to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapy, and switch therapists for no additional charge and at any time. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. And also I want to talk to you about Mudslingers, our favorite place in San Antonio to get ourselves a nice cup of coffee or a cold brew. Or as Vinny tried one time, he went up to Mudslingers and he said, "Can I have some vodka in my coffee?" Vinny, they don't do that over there, Vinny. They don't do that.
Now I know.
Why'd you do that, Vinny? Now you know. Now you know. But yeah, if you stayed up last night late or you need a quick pick-me-up, look no further than San Antonio's own Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. It's locally owned and independent coffee shop, and they're proud to make delicious coffee for our San Antonio community. They do it fast and friendly so you get on with your day. So if you're in the mood for a latte, cold brew, or the Red Bull infused lightning bolt, Vinny, I recommend you try that one. Try that one. I dare you. That thing will wake you up. And you're on the go a lot. If you go to your Twitter, everybody should go to his Twitter. But I see you sometimes in Lavernia and thing. You can benefit from this, Vinny.
I'm always up for a good dare, so let's do this.
All right. They have over 300 5-star reviews that cannot be wrong. They also have a wide selection of dairy alternatives, low-calorie options, even caffeine-free drinks for when you want to just take it easy. You want to go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee right now for a tasty and convenient caffeine fix. Located at 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive near 281 and 1604. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and on TikTok at Mudslingers XTX. That's MUDSLINGERSTX. Life is too short for a bland coffee. But know what life is not too short for is Vinny hopefully saying yes to buying me a couple of items. So let's get into some news and notes here. So have you caught this Netflix show, Vinny? It's called The King of Collectibles. Did you even know it was out?
I have passed by it. I haven't given it a chance, but sounds like I should.
Yes, you should, because there are some Spurs moments in the show. So basically, the idea is they're just following the daily ins and out of the business of the Golden Auctions company, and they auction collectibles. And it doesn't have to be necessarily from sports, but in this case, it is from sports. So, Vinny, the setup was Karl Malone. He was wise enough to snatch every Team USA 92 Barcelona team, mind you, the Dream Team, their jerseys once their final game was over.
Wow.
In the video, in the show, he's telling the story how he got a hold of the entire thing. And he said that one day that they were there, it was the last game of their run, and that his wife was in there with him, and that she looked down. She's like, nobody's picking up any of this stuff. So they had the foresight to collect all the jerseys, Jordan's too, and David Robinson's jerseys
Unreal.
and sneakers, and they just took them. They didn't say anything. And then he cleaned them up and put them in a big shrine in his house. Well, the Golden Auction Company went out there and made a pitch, for them to consign them to them, and some negotiations. Well, as you just heard right now, Robinson's jersey is Olympic jersey, Team USA 1992 Barcelona team. His number 5 jerseys are for auction, and his sneakers as well. So, Vinny, I hope you have enough money, because the current bid for the jersey alone for 5-0's number 5 jersey, $37,000, signed and by Robinson. His sneakers, the Nike Air Force sneakers, remember Mr. Robinson's neighborhood commercials? Those, $7,500. Vinny, you're the man of bucks. I know you got this, right?
Jeff, you might have to wait on the next Spurs bobblehead night, and I'll take good care of you. I'm actually surprised.
Yeah.
Sneakers.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm actually surprised those sneakers aren't going for more.
They're autographed too, and they're not fresh autographs. They're autographed like during the time when they were in Barcelona in '92. So
wow,
and it's obviously the prize is Jordan's gear. You go on that website right now, you'd be like, how much they want for that jersey? But
hey, listen, game worn stuff is the deal, man. That is what people want. I mean, that goes so much further than a replica or a jersey that actually, or shoes that weren't actually worn in competition. That makes a difference in the world.
Yeah, and from John Stockton's gear to Larry Bird's gear, Drexler's gear, even Christian Laettner's gear, is on that website right now, going up for bid. Yes, people are bidding on Laettner's 92 Barcelona jersey. But and I'm watching that show, and there was another moment with Spurs, related themes. They showed a basketball card signed by Robinson, and the current bid, and obviously maybe it's changed or maybe it's sold, was $6,500.
Wow.
Can you believe that? That was just insane. Go ahead, tell me.
You ready for this? I have the 1992 Barcelona collection of cards.
You haven't got those graded?
They are in hard plastic covers. I have not gotten graded. I need to do that, but I do have point of interest, and the Admiral's in there. I do have that collection of cards. It's one of my prized possessions. Yep.
Wow, that is so cool. And I'll tell you when we're done here, and a couple of people that might be interested to give you some bucks for those, and they're in San Antonio too, so you don't have to drive or go anywhere or mail anything, because I've had a couple of card guys come on the show and talk about basketball cards, Spurs cards. That's crazy. Go ahead.
You've given me a new Netflix suggestion. I don't know why I haven't watched this show, but I think because I've got a room full of sports collectibles from professionally the last 25 years of working in the sports business, but from also my kid days. So I love sports collectibles. Love them.
Whoa, you definitely gonna love it then, because it goes into Jackie Robinson's jersey. No joke,
wow.
they have it, and they show it to you. They go I think in one episode they went to Puerto Rico, and the guy has the biggest collection of NBA memorabilia ever. So you're watching the show, and I don't know if you've ever been to Springfield for the Basketball Hall of Fame. I was there last time for Manu's, and it hit me all at once. There's a wing in the Basketball Hall of Fame named after this guy because he donated some of his collection to the
Oh,
museum.
wow.
There's a whole wing named after him, and so he shows off his collection.
You're somebody. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely love it. It's baseball, basketball. There's probably some. I don't know if you're into this, but like they go into Pokemon, trading cards. But apparently that's big business. You know that guy, that kid, Logan Paul, that does all the boxing, those stage boxings and celebrity boxing.
Yeah.
He's on what I think it's him. It's either him or his brother. The point is, they're trying to find this elusive Pokemon card, and the owner of the company goes to visit him, and they want to do some box opening. So they're opening it. They're like, strike out, strike out, strike out. Oh, they got it, one hit. Okay, that's good. But there's still this elusive card they can't find. And supposedly it's in a case, and the guy doesn't want to open up more than 2 boxes. So, but if you notice, the entire episode, he's wearing a chain. And the guy that runs Golden looks at him. He goes, "Okay, we didn't get the big prize, but how much do you want for the card that's hanging on your chain?" Vinny, the kid was wearing a Pokemon card valued over at $50,000 as a necklace. As a necklace.
Somebody tell that kid to wise up and get that thing in a safe.
Oh no, he knew, but he's just flaunting it, But yeah, if you're definitely into that, and yes, there are Spurs themes episodes. The basketball card with Robinson is one. The Dream Team one, though, if you're a sucker for Robinson's time with the Olympic team, you got to check out that episode because you can see it, how Karl Malone set Robinson's jerseys up and sneakers up in his home. It's pretty cool, but I definitely take you up on a bobblehead, though. I'll be okay with that, Vinny. I'll be okay with
one of these days I'm going to take my McDonald's autographed Kawhi Leonard cup and see if I can sell it to Rick at Pawn Stars for like $10 million in 30 years.
Vinny, I'm going to warn you now. I'm probably going to tweet about what you just told me. And why? Because I want to get the fan reaction. I want to see how fans react to that.
I'll try to. You know what? I'll try to take a picture and post it on Twitter and say, "Does this hold any value?" And we'll see what happens.
Oh, well, let me know when you do that. Let me know. So then I'll just repost it, and then that'll get the ball going. Yeah, I think Kawhi didn't do a couple of autograph sessions at a McDonald's in his time. I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah,
that's where I got it from. He also appeared at a Frost Bank one afternoon up in Bernie, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. So he and he was people were into Kawhi and
oh yeah.
As the next great one. So the lines were around the building in those days to get his autograph. I don't think that people feel that way anymore, but there was a day.
You remember when Kawhi did what he did? Spurs fans were burning like his Funko Pop, his jersey, and they're posting it on social media. It was crazy. It got a little wild. Well, you know what, Vinny? Watch this happen. You get it appraised or get it evaluated, and somebody offers you about $1,000 or $2,000. I bet you'll take it.
You know what? That is cash on hand. That is cash in my back pocket. I think I would.
I wouldn't blame you. He is Vinny Vinzetta. You definitely want to go to his Twitter now. So hopefully he'll post that picture of that Kawhi Cup soon. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at VVinzetta. And hey, what do you got to know? Well, tell us, what do you think about Zach Collins last season? What would your letter grade be? Your likes, your dislikes, pros, cons, his future with San Antonio. You agree with our grades? And also, we're talking about sports collectible. What kind of collectibles you got? What cards do you have? Do you have anything David Robinson Olympic vibes going there in your closet there? Let us know. Again, let Vinny know on Twitter at VVinzetta. Speaking of Vinny, what's cooking in San Antonio sports?
Had a great story Monday night where we celebrated our recent 3 girls state championship teams from the north side. Brandeis volleyball, O'Connor softball,
wow.
and Clark girls basketball. So
nice.
we've often stood down to the greatness of Houston and Dallas, but finally we put them in the backseat a little bit. So good to celebrate some state title teams in San Antonio. I've got a cute little story coming up on the Batgirl at one of our local baseball programs here in the city. Don't want to give it away, but cute, fun story. And then Monday night at 10 o'clock on Ken's on Monday. What is that? The 8th, I guess. 7th or 8th. On Monday night at 10, have a big story looking into the future of the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley football. Hopefully the next big successful powerhouse after the success of UTSA down there in the Valley.
All right. Make sure to follow Vinny on Twitter at Vinny Vinzetta right now for all that and more if you want more San Antonio sports. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. You guys are the everydayers. Thank you for coming to Locked On Spurs every single day. And subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, the Kens 5 Plus app. That freaks me out sometimes, Vinny, when I see the Kens 5 Plus app going, and then I hear us talking on the TV. I'm like, huh? What? That's us.
Man.
Hey, crank up the volume.
It rolls 24/7. You never know when you're going to pop up.
Exactly. And again, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every again. So for Vinny Vinzetta, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.